Guys, day 2. So, spent the night here last night. It was pretty epic. There are no street lights because it requires too much electricity. So they are diesel powered here. They have a diesel generator for all the electricity. And so there are no street lights because it's a waste. So we went to a restaurant called, I think it was called Anchor or Anchorage in the street. And the people here who own the resort gave us a lift in the van, so they drove us there. What did we have? I think it was pizza. We had pizzas, it was good, and then I had a cheesecake, which was freaking amazing. It was crazy. So I had that for dessert, and then we walked back in the darkness, which was pretty cool. So we had torches, and we just walked along a street for about, I don't know, it was probably a kilometre. Got back to our place, and then hit the sack pretty quickly. So I was pretty wrecked. I think it was about 8 o'clock when we got back, and it was pitch black, completely dark. You could see the stars pretty well compared to Melbourne, where you pretty much can't see the stars because of the city glow. So that was one thing that I noticed that was amazing, being able to see the stars. And then also just the amount of birds that you could hear, that still somewhat blows my mind. It's just constant birds making noises, calling from the trees outside the bedroom, flying across above us and calling out. There are currawongs here, which we have on the mainland, but they make a completely different call here, although similar enough that I can tell they're currawongs, which is pretty cool. And then aside from that, I don't know, they're the main things though. Being able to see the stars, it being pitch black with no real lights around, which is amazing. And then just the amount of birds that I can hear. Also it rains, like out of nowhere on a split second. Obviously if there are clouds, there are none today, but when there are clouds above, all of a sudden it would just piss down. But the sun will still be out, and so that's pretty weird because you can see the rain coming straight down and the sun shining through it. So not used to that. In Melbourne, if it rains, it tends to be incredibly grey. The day is like, you know, an awful day, whereas here it can be quite nice 1 minute and then all of a sudden rain for 5 minutes and then be back to nice again. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So yeah, woke up this morning, had bacon and eggs with my sister Annika and Rory. And I think today we're going to go to a place called Ned's Beach and check that out. And then I don't know what we're going to do after that, but we will see. We will see. Anyway, I'll keep you updated. Let's give you another look around. So you can see it behind me, the mountains and all the palms behind me. And then sister and her boyfriend's room, my room, and my parents' room. So this is where we are. And then obviously another villa up here, and everything that's sort of important on the island is that way. Behind me here, it's just over those hills and then into the ocean. And the ocean's over there, and it's also over there. We're surrounded by it. Anyway, I'm going to go find out what we're doing. See you guys. Give you an idea of what it sounds like here. So I've got the beach behind me and I can hear the roar of the waves, but then there's obviously the wind in these palms as well. These thatching palms. And then there's just birds calling constantly.
No.
Where are we off to, guys?
Ned's Beach.
What's at Ned's Beach?
The beach.
Water, hopefully. Main drag, guys. Main drag. gone off. There are a lot of old people here. A lot. So here we are, guys, walking down to Ned's Beach. I thought I would just narrate a little bit of this because I had some beautiful shots that I wanted to show you. So this road was amazing. It was lined by different palm trees, and then obviously we got to Ned's Beach, and just straight away it was just amazing that it was kind of like this bay with these two cliffs or bluffs on either side, and sort of fronted with these islands out to sea as well that were a few hundred metres, maybe a kilometre off the shore. So we're panning across to the right here, and the ocean was like crystal clear. It was really calm this day. It was beautifully blue. It was amazing. And then it was really funny, you would look back towards where we had come from. So those trees over there to the right in front of the screen now, are where we had come out of, following that road. And it kind of had this Jurassic Park feel where these clumps of pine trees would be there all over the island in different areas. And we walked through those ones to get to this beach. And then you can obviously see this huge bluff that just goes out to the ocean there. There's islands off the edge there. The waves are coming in slowly. Really, really calm water. We went for a bit of a swim. That was lovely. And then I went for a walk down here to the right of the beach to go check out what was happening at the other end, and there was the odd one or two people around. It was pretty nice. And then obviously you can see there on the right-hand side, there was this sort of hut/shelter kind of structure where it turns out a lot of things were being rented out, like wetsuits and scuba gear. Alright guys, so I've been told that they feed the fish here at the edge of what is this, I don't even know what you want to call it, a hut with chairs and barbecues in it, and I have a feeling they weren't lying. This is ridiculous, guys. Let's see if I can get a good angle of this. Look at all these fish hanging out behind me in the water. This is insane. So here we are walking back away from Ned's Beach, back into the main sort of part of the town, and there were sort of farms or houses, farms on the right-hand side here with paddocks with cows and even banana trees in them, and then these sort of really crazy just houses in and amongst the forest and palm trees. On the left-hand side here, as you can see, there's these palm trees, and then behind those were a lot of different houses that people were obviously living in. And one of the funniest things about this island was the number of cars. There always seemed to be so many cars everywhere, and for an island with only 400 permanent residents on it, apparently there was at least 300 to 350 cars, so almost one car per person. And you can also see these Norfolk Island pines, these really, really big pine trees that are on both sides of the street here. They were planted when people first got to this island. I assume as a good source of wood. I think they're pretty useless when it comes to masts on boats, which they may or may not have been used for, but apparently the wood is full of knots. So where the grain in the wood twists and turns as opposed to really straight, strong grain in the trees. So I don't know why exactly they were planted there. They're from Norfolk Island, but this is a common sight that you'll see in a lot of different Australian cities, Australian towns, definitely coastal towns. You'll see them in the town where I was brought up in Ocean Grove. They're all over the place. But these pine trees, these Norfolk Island pines, they're very easy to spot. So now we're walking down the main street. On the right-hand side that we're just passing now is a restaurant that we were going to quite a bit. Unfortunately, I've forgotten the name. That's Annie and Rory walking in front of me. And this street was amazing because every time, as you can see here, as we got to the end of it, you would look slightly to the left, and those two huge mountains in the background that were almost 850 metres each would just loom over the entire island. So you would just, every time you get to the end of that street, it was just phenomenal being able to see through those Norfolk Island pines. You could see the entire lagoon there, and then just see those huge mountains. And so now we're walking down to the south end of the island where those two large mountains are, as you can see there in front of the camera, and we were going down there to the bike shop, the place where the man whose job it is on the island to rent out bikes, and apparently he has 300 or 400 bikes in his shed. He had heaps there when we were there, and he rents them out for about $10 a day, I think, per person. And so he was saying when it's summertime, he actually rents it out, the whole thing gets rented out. There's not a single bike left in his shed, and so the guy must be raking it in, absolutely raking in the money, because he'd be making, $3,000 to $4,000 a day when he's renting out all of those bikes out of the bike store that he has. So it was a pretty cool little business, but obviously during the winter and other times in the year where there are fewer tourists, he's making a lot less money. And then on the right-hand side here that I'm pointing at now with the camera, you can see the different sheds at the lagoon here at the beach that rented out different equipment, like big surfboards that you could paddle on, so I guess paddle boards. And so this is the bike hiring service that we're walking into at the moment. And obviously it also sells L gas, so it's also a petrol station. But you'll get to see as we walk in straight away the little garage or shed that he has, just full of bikes, totally laid out, all lined up, that he was renting out. And we went in and grabbed a bike each, and yeah, made it a lot easier to get around the island. So that was pretty much the end of day 2. So we arrived here, standing at the front, looked sideways, and then out he popped.
How's it going?
There he is. And so that was it for day 2, guys. Enjoy and stay tuned.